It is going to be one hectic, one awesome final round. Updated teams championship points for you. Remember, Red Bull have been putting them away. Great job yesterday by both drivers. They found something in those cars, haven't they, in recent races, and the gap is now just 185. It's still being led by ProDrive Racing Australia. That's a title race. We'll follow closely as well. Most of the attention has been about the Drivers' Championship. Doesn't get any better for the points leader, Mark Winterbottom, starting ideally on pole position, but the guy he is battling, Craig Lowndes, is right beside him. As you'll see here on the Fuso starting grid, they head off on that warm-up lap. The two combatants at the top of the points ladder are on the front row. Row 2, Jamie Whincup. What role will he play? He's out of points contention now. Can he help Craig Lowndes? The ever-improving Scott Pye. Neil Crompton spoke with him on the grid. Rick Kelly buoyed by the pace, the improvement from Nissan. So much so that 3 of them, Todd Kelly, the third one in the top 10, and James Moffat just outside it. Dale Wood, they've overcome those vibration issues, and he's qualified that Brad Jones racer on the 6th row of the grid. Garth Tander, again, in all 3 races, he's come from grid position 15 here. We know how good HRT are with their strategy, and certainly Garth very good off the line at being able to make ground, make up some spots. Watch them as the race unfolds. A couple of new faces. Chris Pither in at Super Black Disc Racing. Dean Canto in a one-off appearance for Ash Walsh. And you saw Paul Dumbrell there as well. Want to send a cheerio to Nick Percat, who's watching, no doubt, in hospital back in Melbourne, recovering after that infection in his right foot flared once again. He's being looked after by some great doctors there at the Knox Hospital, and if you know anything about Nick Percat, he is a tenacious young guy, former Bathurst winner, and he's got big future ahead of him in this sport. Can't wait to get behind the wheel of a V8 supercar once again. Get well fast. Nick, you're in great hands there. Hashtag V8SC. We'd love your thoughts on the state of play. Who will win the final race in the WD-40 Phillip Island SuperSprint? Lots of chat around at the moment after some controversy yesterday, but we're focused on the deal. That is the championship that is in play at the moment. And this has turned Neil Crompton into a pivotal round, hasn't it?
Yeah, very important this race now this afternoon. 200 kilometres has to be mistake-free for the key players. All the obvious things, but they're much easier to roll out off the tongue than they are to execute. So critically important to get those starts right now. Critically important to manage the congestion in the first lap and then try and make very good strategy decisions through the day. Typically we've seen a lot of safety car intervention around this track over the modern history of the sport. So that's another thing to keep an eye out for this afternoon. If we do get a tangle up in the first lap or two, don't be surprised to see some people immediately coming in, taking advantage of getting away the first part of that fuel dump that's required. Most of them will be starting on a relatively low fuel load, somewhere in the order of 30 to 40 litres of United E85.
Letting loose that 650 horsepower. Final cycle ups for Mark Winterbottom as he gets set to take up his spot. Position 1 on the grid.
Yes, and what a job he did in qualifying. Could have we asked for a better qualifying for today's race 33? The 2 championship contenders on the front row. After all what happened yesterday, Mark Winterbottom has come out and stamped his authority on this qualifying and told us he is here for the championship. No question about it. The guy to watch here behind, Jamie Whincup. What has Red Bull got planned for ProDrive Racing Australia?
Frosty spent a lot of time putting temperature into those rear tyres. It's a very tall diff ratio. And if they end up being too hot, sometimes actually hard to get the desired wheel spin to get away.
They've questioned his mental toughness, but he sent a big message with that pole position. He wants to lead from the front. Our championship leader in the thick of battle with Lowndes. They unleash the thunder. Great start by Winterbottom. A fraction better than Lowndes. McLaughlin looks like he's got away to a good one. He didn't do that yesterday. McLaughlin picks up a spot. Whincup ahead of Lowndes, but Frosty leads the way into turn 1 for the first time.
McLaughlin's awkwardly positioned on the outside here at 1, but they managed to sort it out between themselves. It's Lowndes on the outside of him. great start when it counted most by Mark Winterbottom. Beautiful job. And his old adversary, Jamie Whincup, is tucked in behind.
Someone off there coming out of 2. Look at the dust flying there. Let's see if we can figure out who that is. I think it might be Dale Wood. He's drifting right back down the order. And Lee Holdsworth.
Reynolds and Rick Kelly got together down there. Shane Van Gisbergen's been carted wide at turn 4 as well.
David Reynolds sitting in 8th position. Cam Waters out wide there as they exit Siberia for the first time. Scott Pye holding down 5th place. Here's the Altima trying to go around the other way. Past Waters.
Massive moment through Hayshed again for the 2nd day in a row. And do they all manage to come back on and resolve that? I didn't quite understand what happened there, but it all got messy in the traffic. And a big lock-up for Cam Waters. He's clouded the side of Jason Bright and carted him wide.
He's got a flat left front. That's why he couldn't pull the car up. Drama's coming down into MG corner. And it all started a couple of corners before it Whincup in. Interesting strategy choice, this one.
So they've immediately separated the 2 Red Bull entries.
Scott Pye in as well. David Reynolds too.
Can't see you yet, mate. Okay, see you coming down there. Mate, yeah. Just put rear tyres on here, mate. We're going to put a bit of fuel in as well, so just watch yourself come around these guys. Just come as square as you can here, please, mate. Matey, just do the best you can there, mate. Nice one.
10 cars in the lane. Lowndes on the right-hand side of screen. He's 3rd. That's McLaughlin. Scotty Pye. They talked about rears. Only contact in the lane. That's an unsafe release for Team BOC. So that'll be a penalty for Jason Bright. Contact with Pye.
Very close for Courtney as well. Almost into the path of the Volvo. And Whincup in pit lane loses ground.
Good decision, Jamie Whincup, to stop the car, drop in behind the traffic. They put a bit of fuel in that car,
haven't they?
And they've only done rear tyres.
The other cars that came into the lane included Dale Wood and Lee Holdsworth on a wild opening lap. You could see the damage to car 21 and car 18 respectively.
75 litres of fuel went into Jamie Whincup's car, stationary for 20 seconds. For Dale Wood, they put 90 litres in, so a lot of fuel. Waters got 80 litres in as well. Reynolds 80 litres.
So meantime, up in front here, Winterbottom leading from McLaughlin by 1.1. Lowndes is 3rd, then Michael Caruso and Rick Kelly, or Todd Kelly, I beg your pardon, I should say. Then James Moffat, so the Nissans 4th, 5th and 6th respectively.
Contact at the back of the pack at the exit of the southern loop down there for Lee Holdsworth. You can see it looks pretty ordinary in the front right corner. What a shame.
He will join us on Inside Supercars this week, Lee Holdsworth. Lots to talk about with that team. We go back here to Fabian Coulthard. 9th for now, ahead of Slade. Will Davison.
Scorching start for Mark Winterbottom. And today it was Craig Lowndes that didn't fare so well.
Frank, pit lane drive-through penalty, car 8 for an unsafe release.
That's for Jason Bright, Team BOC as predicted. And here we see a bit more of what happened. It looked like Courtney and Dale Wood, and then Lee Holdsworth is the innocent victim in that process, it seemed. But there's always more to those stories. You need to see all the angles and understand what's going on there. And then we did see Van Gisbergen wide down here as well. This is Todd Kelly.
We were riding with Rick Kelly when that wild incident happened on the run up to the hay shed. Have a look at this here. So he's on the outside to the right of your screen. Inside is Cam Waters. Cam a little uneasy across the curbing there.
Too wide at the hay shed. That's an equation that never works. So check this out. I'm just going to be silent here. Look and listen.
And that contact, he's obviously done something to that left front tyre. He suffered a puncture. So here, look at the lock-up here. Big lock-up on the run down to MG. Trouble trying to arrest car 6. That's because the tyre was already gone. Back to Van Gisbergen, 7th place right now. Winterbottom leads by just over a second. McLaughlin has the fastest race, or lap of the race so far, I should say. 1:32.97.
Van Gisbergen here is in 7th position now. Certainly had to deal with a bit of warfare in that opening lap. So a whole bunch of people have managed to grab a stop. Rick Kelly, Scott Pye, James Moffat, James Courtney. Here's Jason Bright serving that penalty.
So some distinction in the strategy choices here. Certainly for the cars from position 14 down. As we see Van Gisbergen come into the lane. Out of 7th place. He said on social media last night, dealt with the penalty, wanted to move on, and prior to the race.
Okay, Shane, we got you in pit lane, mate. You just have to swing around the distance. I'll give you a countdown. 3, 2, 1, merge across. We're going to leave the car in neutral for the guys. Stand by winding. We're clear on this side. Should be about another 3 or 4 seconds. Should be clear to go when you drop, mate. You're clear, 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 clear.
The thing that most people have chosen to do is to get away that older set of tyres as early as possible in the race as well, and then have good quality rubber for the 2nd and 3rd stints. Everybody's playing it a little bit differently, but more than half the field now has taken the opportunity to get that first stop done, cycle out that older set of tyres and take on a load of fuel so that the secondary stop is the smaller load dump of fuel. Look at Moffat on the outside here of Van Gisbergen. Gives him space. Good decision. Has to yield.
Moffat on warmer tyres. He'd rejoined the track just 1 lap prior. Little Taylor on the run toward turn 3. Van Gisbergen, today's a brand new day. Forget what happened on Saturday. 14th now.
I said it in our coverage yesterday, Greg. You know, in the end, Shane's a hard racer. And we celebrate it, we applaud it. It's widely acknowledged, and so we saw very, very tough and hard racing yesterday. So here's a replay in the pit lane of what happened to Jason Bright. Launched straight into the side of Scott Pye, and could actually be even some steering arm damage there on Scott Pye's car as a result of that. Images back live with Garth Tander, Dean Cando, Chris Pither and Paul Dumbrell in 4 cars now for their stop. That leaves 6 cars in the field at the top that have not yet stopped. Winterbottom, McLaughlin, Lowndes, Caruso, Coulthard and Slade.
All clear now, it's all clear, so when it drops, you are right to go. Still clear. Go, go, go.
So the reason why Todd Kelly fared quite well in those stops is a bit of damage on the front right-hand corner of Pither's Super Black racing entry as well. There's all that stuff that was going on at the start, so he's got some damage there to deal with. Look at this, Gizzy still gnawing away on the back of the Nissan. Todd only took on 30 litres in his stop. That is a fantastic corner. The cars have got so much pace there. Now, look for Shane to have a think about going down the inside at turn 4. And that's what he's thinking about as well. So he offers up the nose. James stays out wide on the racing line. It's all pretty textbook in the end.
It's like our camera on the roof of Van Gisbergen's car has copped a hit. Bit of damage to the hamburger cam there.
Lee Holdsworth, I bet you're just really looking forward to this year being over by the look on your face.
Yeah, I sure am. You know, said time after time when you qualify down the back there, you get caught up in other people's problems, and I don't really know what happened there, but I was just following JC down the inside of turn 2, and Wood just appeared out of nowhere and took out the front of my car. I think it's pushed the rails across, and it's damaged the radiator and the steering arm, so it's too far gone to get back out in this race, but we just really need to get these cars going better, because you know, we're going to just continue to get caught up and stuff like that.
Was see at the Coates Hire Sydney 500 lead. Hopefully get some better results.
To me, it was disappointing for Cam Waters. I mean, he didn't actually, to me, didn't look like he did anything wrong. He got caught there with no room on the outside with Rick Kelly and an unfortunate flat tyre.
Yeah, disappointing, but yeah, it's just one of those things that lap one, everyone's pretty close together. So anyway, he's gathered it up. He's got a full tank of fuel, so he'll just sort of, hopefully he can drive back up into a reasonable position.
Mega start by Frosty off the front row there, and he's got a bit of a gap there too.
Yep, he's going okay at the moment. A long way to go.
Like some sort of issue with the captive wheel nut there on the right rear for Tim Slade during that stop for the Super Cheap Auto Racer as well. Car 47 back up in front. The gaps come down a little. He's been gnawing away at it. Scott McLaughlin in the Volvo. He's got it down to 6/10.
So those that elected to shorten up the stationary time as they dump a total of 120 litres of fuel across the race. It's broken into two parts. So those that took the opportunity to only drop a little bit of that in the first phase are Todd Kelly, and here's the replay of what's going on in the right rear corner with the Super Cheap car. So they've just changed that wheel nut out and another wheel on. So Todd Kelly and Rick Kelly, 30 and 40 litres apiece. James Courtney, 40 litres. Shane Van Gisbergen, 40 litres. So they'll be stationary for longer in their second stop.
Scotty carried a lot of speed into turn one there, and I think clipped that inside curb.
0.8 of a second gap between Winterbottom and McLaughlin. You can see it on screen there, but also keep an eye on Lowndes. He's 2.4 seconds behind. There he is, Winterbottom, and you can guarantee that whatever they do at the Pepsi Max crew, they'll do at Red Bull Racing. So they'll shadow the leaders' manoeuvre, which is pretty much standard practice. Certainly for a while, and they might have a crack at a little undercut. Now, Frosty's just done the best sector on this past lap in sector one. So he's got good car pace. Lap speed for him on the last lap was a 33.0. Fastest lap of the race belongs to Scott Pye.
That lap, incidentally, of Winterbottom's is just 100th of a second shy of his best lap of the race so far. Awesome stuff. Whincup down the inside of car 22. James Courtney on the outside as they come through Siberia. Whincup gets it done. Whincup to 12th now. Still waiting for Winterbottom, McLaughlin, Lowndes, Caruso, Coulthard to come in for their first stop.
Car number 33, expect to see McLaughlin in any tick of the clock. They're going to separate him out of this, so we'll keep an eye on that. And we've updated information out of the Dick Johnson Racing Team Penske garage. We don't believe there's any ill effects as a result of that contact that we saw with Jason Bright in the pit lane.
Which is lucky because it was decent, wasn't it? Just over 7/10.
Side to side, thankfully, but you always hold your breath when you're inside the garage and one of your cars gets a whack in the pit lane. There's a big chance you can see that sort of damage. In comes McLaughlin now. He was 0.7 of a second behind the leader. And so Richard Holway, he might have a little play here with the fuel load just to see whether or not he can get track position in the cat and mouse game that's being played by all players. So moving up into second place is Craig Lowndes. Coulthard's come in as well. Michael Caruso's in third. There's only 3 cars
nice and easy, turn in.
that have not stopped.
That's it, stop on the marks. There's a car coming fast, 5 seconds, yeah, get ready to go, mate. Go, 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 go! Go, 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 yep, you're right.
Oh, there's not much in it.
It doesn't matter whether you put extra emphasis in the go-go part because they end up launching to 40 Ks and that's it.
They asked him to pull up on the marks. He did it perfectly, Scott McLaughlin. So it's a good stop by Gary Rogers Motorsport, and he rejoins here at Phillip Island just as Jamie Whincup makes that final sequence of corners, the long lefts.
So those that took on less fuel have all jumped Jamie Whincup. That'll sort itself out as the race unfolds.
Yeah, I just want to see if I can grab Mark Dutton just very briefly if I could just grab you. Give him a couple of laps. I just wanted to actually ask Mark, and Cromley might comment on this too. He's a much smarter man than I am, but when they brought Jamie Whincup in, they put a lot of fuel in that car, and they put him back into the pit lane where he had to actually balk and put him into traffic. And I'm just wondering if that was actually a planned thing or it didn't quite work out the way they'd planned. So I just want to find out about it, because I think he lost a bit of time, especially passing some of these cars, including James Courtney. 75 litres of fuel, 20 seconds stationary, but there was that extra little balk when he had to pull up and wait, didn't he, and then drop back in, so there was another couple of seconds. There's also 43 odd seconds involved in transiting the lane. When they make those strategy calls, they're doing it from the front of the field. They don't know what everybody else is going to do behind, and clearly in some cases down the lane they then react to what front runners are doing. So good point, Greg. He finds himself with a bit of a battle on his hands now, so there's quite a few people. I rattled through them before, both the Kelly brothers, James Courtney, Shane Van Gisbergen. They took on, all of them, between 30 and 40 litres of fuel. Contrast that with Whincup taking on 75 litres of fuel. Big difference in the stationary time. Nearly 80 litres of fuel for Kando, nearly 80 litres for Waters, 90 litres for Wood, 75 for Slade.
Watching Paul Dumbrell in the background here, and he's chasing car 55, David Reynolds. So Dumbrell is 18th, Reynolds is 17th, and Paul, it's an amazing story. Nick Percat had to go back to hospital yesterday for treatment on that infection associated with his right foot injury, and he's in good hands there. But Paul was on the San Remo bridge when the phone rang, and he made it here just in time. Oh, just pulled it up too, did he?
Leaders in, so, and as predicted, Lowndes has shadowed, and Caruso as well. So it's had a big fiddle with the brake bias to deal with the oncoming fuel load, and in the escape road, the long way round for Fabian Coulthard down at turn 4, as instructed in the driver's briefing.
Right check, please. Right check. One more line, please. Thank you.
So let's watch the comparative fuel times here between the two teams. How will they play it at Pro Drive? How will they respond at Red Bull? Do they both keep their heads down and play their own strategy game and meet up down the road, or do they play a little cat and mouse game right now?
Go, 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 go. You will make it out. Go, 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 go.
So Pro Drive have opted for track position over Lowndes. 36 litres of fuel for Winterbottom. 44 litres of fuel for Lowndes.
Must have been quick for Caruso as well. Barely any stationary time for the Nissan driver. And Lowndes will rejoin here just behind Todd Kelly, the car sales entry. Kelly is 5th on the road. 4th now with that correction, of course, ahead of Craig.
This is what happened to Fabian Coulthard, who was sending smoke signals to those at Flinders Island. Here it is, the replay. Watch this. Oh, the closing rate was massive on the back of Rick's car.
This is relatively new, this escape road that goes right round the outside there at turn 4,
and he's into it too. Set the lap record for that bit of the track.
Lowndes quickly sorts that out, gets back ahead of the car sales Nissan. So Craig Lowndes back up into 4th place already and hustling. So McLaughlin by 2.6 over Winterbottom. Then Caruso, who was stationary for a very short period of time here in the lane in car 23. Then Lowndes and Todd Kelly, who you're watching here now.
Everybody in the field's done one stop. Jason Wright's done a second for a pit lane drive-through penalty. McLaughlin the leader over Winterbottom, then Caruso. I heard through from the pit lane that they didn't do tyres on Caruso's car. They just only stuck a relatively low fuel load in there, so stuck 30 litres in. They've got 90 to come now in their next stop.
He's had those moments this year, hasn't he, Scott McLaughlin, with various issues to contend with on the development of this car, but then he's broken back through for pole positions and for podium finishes, and he was a little frustrated yesterday. Just wanted, there's Richard Holway to the left of your screen. We're inside the Gary Rogers Motorsport, the Volvo bunker. He just wanted that conversion to be off the line a little quicker.
James Moffat, who's in 8th place at the moment, and he's 14 seconds from the lead. He's asking for a ride height change in the stop, and here's Caruso. Let's just confirm my rumour. So it's fuel only. Ooh. Exactly as we'd heard. So just purely fuel for the Nissan Motorsport entry car number 23, Michael Caruso. Here's Fabian Coulthard back in the game again. He's tucked in behind that rear bumper cam on Jamie Whincup's car at Hayshed. Gee, look how grey it is on the outside line there. If you end up wide of the racing line there at turn 8 at Hayshed, you're going to tour the paddock. How's the sandblasting on the front of Fabian's car there, where the cars start out in pristine showroom condition at the beginning of the weekend. By the time you get to the end of the weekend, they look like they've been attacked by a sandblaster at the front. All the paint's come off.
That's the word for it. He is attacking here at the moment. You can see the way that he's using different lines.
That's interesting.
Nice driving, mate. We're in a good position fuel-wise. Keep on pushing, please.
It's because they're saying that because the next stop for Jamie, he doesn't have to stand still for terribly long. Oh, look at the amount of vibration in that splitter on the front of Fabian's car as well. May have a little bit of damage after rattling over that sawtooth curb on the run into turn 4.
I saw Wally Story having a good look at the splitter off Jason Bright's car between qualifying and the race. There's a bit of head scratching, so Fabs with some opposite lock there.
He's giving it some welly, isn't he? 45 litres of fuel required for Jamie at the next stop, and wild images there for Fabian through the left-hander at turn 3 at Southern Loop. Had the big sprint car action going here. Up in the foreground there, that's Garth Tander. Here's that vibration that I spoke about. It's like a cartoon character having a chat.
What's that? What's that? Back with him now. He's in 11th place. Whincup up ahead of him in 10th. Oh! He makes that look easy. That is fast through there. You can see Tander up the road ahead of them as well. Inside the Brad Jones bunker. Phil Keed, centre of screen, far left. Long-time engineer in this sport, Wally Story. McLaughlin now has a 4.5-second lead over Mark Winterbottom. Caruso still holding down 3rd place, then Craig Lowndes. Fabian again with that vibrating front splitter and through turn 1 as he continues to chase Jamie Whincup.
I wonder whether or not, and I just had to go back and retrace my steps and our notes and conversation here. Remember that Whincup only did 2 tyres in that stop as well. He's having a bit of a struggle there at the moment. I know he's got a fat fuel load on the car, but the car doesn't have great pace at the moment, but they're encouraging him not to get too concerned about it because he will only sit still for a relatively short period of time in the next stop, unlike quite a few people around him. He'll have to do the exact opposite. And Fabian's spending as much time catching as pitching here at the moment, so he's got this thing sliding. He had a big slide through Hayshed last time. He's got pie on David Reynolds. These guys are 17th and 18th. Don't like the idea of being, neither does Scott. So I don't like the idea of being wide there on the outside at turn 8. And Scott Pye had the exact same thought.
David came into today more than 270 points shy of Mark Winterbottom as a result of that incident, finishing last in that race yesterday. He needs points. That's why he's doing everything he can to stay in front of Scott Pye. Back with Lowndes, couldn't get by the Nissan, but he's closed that gap and he's hustling, trying to grab that 3rd spot away from Michael Caruso.
Caruso didn't change tyres at the stop.
So you just heard the confirmation on the radio there. Oh dear, Craig has a look down the inside. This will be for position. He just does not have the grip at the moment, Michael Caruso. Mind you, as I said on the grid, I thought they really did a good job with the Nissan today. Had some good pace in that car.
Love watching him race, Michael Caruso. So aggressive, always that way when he was a karter as well. That was mighty through Stoner Corner for Craig Lowndes. Whincup. Verifying what you were talking about before. Yep.
So remember also, just an important point to make, we've just been discussing in here as well. So when you look at Winterbottom currently in second place versus this man here, so they took on very similar amounts of fuel. So 36 litres for Mark Winterbottom, 32 litres for McLaughlin. But because Scotty came in early, he got the benefit of the undercut. He got onto the green tyres and he applied those, you know, there's a couple of litres difference in fuel, but he applied the greenness of that incoming tyre set, was able to use that to advantage. That's put him in pretty reasonable shape at the moment. And Lowndes took on 44 litres, just to put you back in the picture with that stuff. Love that Volvo song. Sounds good round here, doesn't it? Now, just understand also as you start to get your thoughts around that next pit stop, that Jamie Whincup will be 10 seconds on average of fuel better off than some of the key people he's racing. And then it's going to be about car balance and tyre condition thereafter.
Richard Holloway. He's just quickly leaving a minute. I'll tap him on the shoulder. Hey, Rich, mate, nice job on the undercut there. Scotty's got some serious pace. It looks like you guys put the same fuel in as car 5, but you're pulling away pretty comfortably at the moment.
Yeah, I think he might have a little bit more than us, and I think they started on better tyres. We put our rears on, so we're a little bit slower, starting a little bit quicker now. So
that's working out pretty good at the moment with the pace and the gap that's being increased.
It's good to have clear track, yeah, for sure, especially around here.
Works well. Well done, mate.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
And Scotty was the dominant force here in 2014, but he's yet to have a win in 2015. Is today the day for Scott McLaughlin in the Volvo?
So Richard Holloway just speculated, I think Lowndes took a little bit more on than us, just to explain that. Yes, he did. 12 litres more in
for the boys.
The Red Bull entry.
And tyres are done. We're waiting for fuel. Go, 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 go. Well done.
Out and clear for David Reynolds. Second stop for both he and Fabian Coulthard. So that's fuel to finish now for those guys. And McLaughlin down the inside. I wouldn't want to put my hand up for the job to be the tyre on their cars, though, from here to the end of the race, because I reckon the last few laps you'll be sending out the SOS for some assistance, because I have a big chance that we saw how much Fabian was sliding before. That'll be nothing compared to what it looks like at the end of the race, but they've gone for a different strategy play. Keeps it interesting. They're laying up here to take service now for car number 7, Todd Kelly.
Fuel's done, we're just waiting on fuel, mate.
And they'll need a bit of it, because he only took on 30 litres in the last stop.
We've got 8 seconds, mate. We've got a clear pit lane. You'll be good to go when you drop, mate. 3 seconds. Still clear. Go, go, go. Straight to fast lane.
No traffic to deal with there. Look at this. Margins all nice and tight here for second and third between Winterbottom and Lowndes. This is the stuff that we paid for.
He's closing on him at a rapid rate, isn't he? Craig Lowndes. McLaughlin with a 5.7 lead ahead of these two.
Frosty sliding. And in. And in.
Copy that, mate. Everything okay? All good, all good.
Needs 84 litres of fuel, Mark Winterbottom. 22 seconds. Plus getting in and out. Rattles down the lane at 40 clicks.
You got a straight run in. No experience.
It's a terrific facility here at the island, but a long pit lane.
He pulled up perfectly on the marks there, absolutely to the millimetre. Little change, because that car was sliding. They're making a ride height change.
Help with the tyres, help you out.
I'm guessing they lowered the rear.
And we are clear, got about 5 to go. Coming up, 2 to go. Coming up, still clear, still clear. Go, 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 go.
So they needed to settle that car. This is Scott Pye. Tim Blanchard is in as well. Second stop for both those guys. Out and clear and hooking gears is Mark Winterbottom.
Just holding for fuel. Holding for fuel. Holding. Still good to go when you drop. You're clear, you're clear, you're clear.
And while all that's unfolding, Craig Lowndes has pressed on. He's had a great first sector.
And coming in. So he's pushing very hard now with a qualifying lap. Big damage here on Dale Wood's car, the front left guard. Is going to fold under the sill panel there on the left-hand side. I wonder whether this relates to what was going on at the beginning of the race, or is this a new ploy? So Lowndes in as mentioned. McLaughlin's the leader from Caruso. He's great.
Mate, we've got a nice lead in here. When you get up here, make sure we use that, please. Tyres and fuel. Nothing fancy here. We'll try and give you a screen as well.
In theory land, he might come out just ahead of Winterbottom.
There we go when we get
It depends on the execution now, because the actual and the predicted can be different. No changes to that car, other than a tear off.
Now we're just waiting on the fuel, which is another 9 seconds worth. You're all clear, mate.
Meantime, Frosty's out of MG corner.
Now, there's nothing around for now. All clear.
He had a good in-lap, Lowndes. He was pushing super hard. I reckon he's going to have a little cushion here. Here's Frosty onto the left-hander onto the straight at 12. Here's Craig on departure. Cold tyres for him. So the cushion's coming down, 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 but our numbers suggested 2 to 3 seconds. So Craig Lowndes in very good position. A mechanical black flag, incidentally, for Dale Wood with all that damage on the front left of the car.
Great in-lap for Craig Lowndes. Good execution by the team in the stop. And look at the advantage he enjoys for now.
McLaughlin in. He's the cameraman for us there. And Caruso shadows him.
Drive through Erebus's Bay. Drive through Erebus's Bay. Keep it nice and straight.
Now, if they get this job done nicely at Wilson Security Volvo Racing, they could come out here in front of Triple A.
Wheels are done. There's a couple of cars in pit lane.
No changes.
Coming up to you now, Kizzy. 5 seconds. We're going to have to lead you in front of...
Where's Lowndes? There he is over the top of Lukey Heights.
Just... Wait. Now go.
Bit of time in that. Remember, they're back down at the high end of the pit lane here, near the northern end. Krusty on the radio. Wait for Craig to appear, and he's pushing. He's got the qualifying eyes on here. There's not going to be much in this, but I think it'll be in favour of McLaughlin. He'll just be in front, but he'll have cold tyres, and he'll have a highly motivated Craig Lowndes looking to try and go down the inside, and Lowndes does it. How close is that? This is going to be a great battle. So right at the moment for McLaughlin, though, thing is squirming on cold tyres. But in about half a lap, the temperatures and pressures will begin to come up.
Yeah, mate, exactly the same, mate. You got fresher tyres, obviously, a couple of laps.
So what Richard Holway's saying there is you've got good rubber, younger by a lap or two. I think it's a lap. So this is what the battle will look like. Here it is again in replay. So Lowndes coming off the final corner. Hot tyres, motivated, ducks to the inside, to the dirty side. Cold tyres, and on the racing line, Scotty McLaughlin doing everything he can to push on. Here's the Craig view. There's the Volvo on departure. Big closing rate. And that was 110% commitment from Lowndes. Moffat, Dumbrell, Pither are in. Tim Slade, Dean Canto are still out there. Now it's going to be about tyre condition.
Well, the interesting story here is, of course, Lowndes has an impeccable record at this venue, which he continued to build on yesterday.
Pit lane penalty, Michael Caruso. And a problem for Dale Wood. Wheel spinning during the pit stop for Caruso of Nissan Motorsport.
I wondered that before when he was stationary, whether there'd be any issue with it. We kind of question marked it, didn't we, at the time, and we thought perhaps it was going to be okay, that there wouldn't be much in it. Obviously, it's been viewed very differently. Frustration for Michael Caruso, who did a very good job in qualifying, hands off the wheel. That tells you the body language, doesn't it, how he feels. And Scott McLaughlin looking for his first win of the 2015 season. Can he challenge Lowndes here?
And Lowndes looking to move his personal marker at Phillip Island onto 11 race wins. And remember, championship. Lowndes is ahead by 2 positions of Mark Winterbottom at the moment.
Watching the bodywork top of screen from Dale Wood's car as he comes out of the final turn. Looks like it's been to hell and back, doesn't it?
Yeah, and when bits of the splitter end up under the tyres, you can't steer the car, and that's happened a few times, so it's torn the composite guard off that car as well. So Slade and Canto are in. That leaves Cam Waters still awaiting his second stop. He's actually the leader. So Slade and Canto in. Waters leading, Lowndes second, McLaughlin third with Cam Waters still to take his stop. And look, it's on
21 to go, mate, 21 to go.
This is going to be qualifying laps, all 21 of them. The Holden versus the Volvo. 2 top-line operators.
And both have found form in relatively recent time, haven't they? McLaughlin dearly would love a win here if he can. He had such a great run at Phillip Island in 2014. Very tough year in 15. He's had podiums, but he wants that win. There are podiums for him yesterday. The first time he's done that this year. Picked up more than 1 podium on a race weekend.
So he's had a couple of seconds and a couple of thirds so far this year, Scott McLaughlin. And just in the recent past, he's really added to the Armour All pole position bank. Whincup down the inside, Todd Kelly. That is for position number 5.
David Reynolds, meantime, the other championship player in terms of the top 3, is down in 10th. So Lowndes in second, Winterbottom 4th, Reynolds is 10th. Todd Kelly had a great battle yesterday, didn't he? He was right in the thick of the battle. Fighting with Tim Slade, I think it was. So for Cameron Waters to come in for his second stop. He's the leader at the moment, but he's yet to pit for a second time. Lowndes is the effective leader.
He's got a 9-second margin, Cam Waters. But by the time he takes on his fuel and then transits the pit lane, he took a lot of fuel on in the first stop. He took 80 litres. He only needs 40 now to tick the mandatory requirement, but he's got to get through the pit lane, which will drop him right back down through the order. Back into the mid-teens in the field after he's processed his stop. Whincup just got the sense that Jamie's car wasn't necessarily to his satisfaction when we were watching him battling with Fabian a bit earlier. As you see with many of the cars around here at the moment, he's doing a fair job having to slide that car He's not flat through turn 3.
His strategy play slightly different to others. He was in very early for his first stop and took on a big gulp of fuel for car 1.
Mark Dutton, hey, two very different strategies, obviously. You got Jamie in very early, first lap, I think it was. Was that just to get everyone apart so we didn't have a stacking situation?
Yeah, exactly. The pit lane's very tight through here, so stacking would be extremely expensive. Unfortunately, we haven't had the tyre life we wanted on car 1, so we've dropped back a bit. And the vice versa on Triple Eight has excellent tyre life and is sort of streaking ahead a little bit there. So fingers crossed, mate.
When I knocked you on the shoulder before, you were getting busy, I think, getting ready for Lowndes to come in. I would premise that by saying you're a much smarter man than I, but I was probably a little surprised when that first stop with Jamie, how much fuel you obviously put in. And he got caught up with a bit of traffic there where that didn't quite work out the way you planned?
Yeah, the traffic didn't help, but we just didn't have the pace. Ultimately, that was the problem. If we had the pace, we could have passed them, and the fuel would have paid back later, as it did with Triple Eight. We took on extra fuel, and the cars in front had good pace, and then got the position.
All right, it's going good, mate. Good luck.
Thanks, Murph.
Clearly disappointing for Michael Caruso to get that pit lane penalty for spinning the tyres, spinning the wheels in the pit stop. But firstly, I want to ask you, you didn't change tyres in his pit stop. There was obviously a reason for that.
Sorry, what was that?
You didn't change tyres in Michael's pit stop. There was obviously a reason for that.
Yeah, so we've only got two good sets for the day and a mixed set from yesterday. So we've decided to do the cars on the two sets of good ones for the day, and hopefully they'll hold on. There's still 20 to go, but hopefully we've still got enough in them to finish.
Todd and Rick in a really solid position at the moment.
Yeah, effectively 5th and 6th. That's good. You know, we put less fuel in at the start to try and get them some space. So you need to have the pace to make it work, and at the moment they do. So hopefully we can hold on.
Fuel strategy has been good for you guys in the past, so fingers crossed.
Yeah, we'll see. Thanks.
Traffic didn't help, but we didn't have the pace with car 1. That was the takeaway from Mark Dutton in that interview before, as you were talking about. James Moffat has a look at David Reynolds and picks up the spot. So James Moffat now to 10th. Reynolds is back in 11th place. Cameron Waters in for service, so Lowndes takes over the lead. Here he is, car 6. He had the elbows out in New Zealand, and he said on Facebook afterwards, I am not afraid to keep that aggressive stance, that aggressive style. Steve Owen will take over this car at the Coates Hire Sydney 500, so Cam can focus on his Dunlop commitments, trying to win that series that he leads over Paul Dumbrell.
2, really there, go into the drop, go, go.
It's going to drop in the early 20s here. In fact, I suggested teens before, but it's back a little further than that. It's about 21st. So Lowndes has got 0.9 of a second. And I'm watching the sector splits between those two, Lowndes and McLaughlin, very closely here at the moment. There's not much in it. They're both at maximum attack. Meantime, Frosty is 6.5 seconds away from Craig. And I should think, given his championship position and the pace of the car and the 2 leaders up the front, that's it now for him. Just wait and see. Something may come to him. But that'll be a good points haul, and that's protecting his cushion. He'll lose a little bit of margin, but it's not going to be the end of the universe.
That means it's going to be awesome in Sydney. It'll go to the wire, the final round of the championship.
It's pretty good. See a little bit of turn, but I'm starting to lose the rears too, though, so just rocking a hard place.
So there is the evidence of struggling a little bit in the rear. So as soon as we went on board with McLaughlin, you could see the back of the car was pretty unstable through the middle of turn 1. 1.18 seconds. Craig just opened the margin slightly. And last lap for those guys, 33.3 for Craig Lowndes, 33.5 for Scott McLaughlin. Here comes Moffat on the attack on the inside at turn 1 on Garth Panda. These fellas are arguing over 8th and 9th at the moment. David Reynolds is behind them.
Moffat looks racy, doesn't he? Looks very good. He's been able to clear David Reynolds. And now chasing Garth Tander. It's been an action-packed race so far.
Got him. So Garth stayed high and let James glide down the inside with relative ease, and that's for position. So that's up to position 8 now for James Moffat, Farrison Industries Nissan Altima. So Garth mustn't be too confident about what fighting power he's got in that car at the moment.
Best of the Nissans, Todd Kelly in 5th. Highlights of the race so far. And it was a beautiful start by Mark Winterbottom. It needed to be. He maximised that pole position and launched away in the Pepsi Max Ford. Behind him, Craig Lowndes didn't get the kind of start we saw yesterday and lost the spot to Jamie Whincup. This went on. Courtney, Wood and Holdsworth. Lots of damage to Wood's car, and Holdsworth sadly has retired from this race in car 18. Out wide on the run down to turn 4. Van Gisbergen, the Jack Daniels Nissan, involved in a skirmish at 4, and then this with Cam Waters on the run to the hay shed. It gave Waters a puncture and he would struggle to pull that car up at MG corner ultimately. First round of stops, contact, Jason Bright into the 17. That was then given a drive-through penalty. Busy pit lane, lots of fuel for Jamie Whincup, but they've not ultimately had the pace in car 1 like he had yesterday in this longer race. McLaughlin waited a fraction, eventually got back out, and this was for the lead. Lowndes had pitted the lap prior. Awesome stuff as they raced down to turn 1. Lowndes took the lead back, and he leads by 1.3 now over McLaughlin. Don't forget, of course, this will go to the wire. The grand finale, it's going to be huge. The stadium trucks are on the entertainment bill there too. Join us for the Coates Hire Sydney 500 in a fortnight's time. Some great ticket packages available. Head to the website for details. We look forward to seeing you there as we find out who the champion will be.
Just watching these gaps between Lowndes and McLaughlin, and all of a sudden half a second has appeared. So just this last couple of laps, really off the back of the conversation that Scott was having with Richard Holway. We just started to see that car slide a little bit more. It's just letting Craig Lowndes off the hook a little bit. A couple of puffs of smoke from behind that car as well, so we'll just keep a bit of an eye on it. But 1.5 exactly is the margin at the moment. Last lap time was 33.7 for both of them, so lap speed wasn't a big deal, and he might have just tidied it up a little bit in its balance with the anti-roll bars, but the previous lap really hurt him. All of a sudden, it just half a second disappeared in a hurry.
We effectively have more than the entire distance we had in one of yesterday's sprint races to go, so lots to request to ask of these tyres before we get to the flag.
And they'll have their tongues hanging out when we get to the end of this session, for sure. So we'll keep an eye on that. Margin back to Mark Winterbottom at the moment is 7.8 seconds from the lead. So Lowndes to Winterbottom, that's the gap.
And Lowndes, if he does finish as things currently are, will take a few more little taily on the run down into MG corner.
As the tyre condition goes away around here, it always feels awkward, as though you're just having to brake so early to stop the car over the top of the hill and down the other side. And if you dare to try and stretch it by even a metre or so, then it can really hurt.
So the margin will come down to less than 200 points now. So it was out as high as 399 when we came off the Super Cheap Auto Bathurst 1000. But these Red Bull cars have found some speed. They've unlocked something, and Lowndes has chipped away at it little by little. But hats off to Frosty in the face of all that pressure. He's minimised the damage. And on course for a third place finish here at the moment. And it sets up a great finale, that's for sure. Back to the Nissans, best of them today so far. Todd Kelly in 5th place in the carsales.com.au. Altima ahead of his brother Rick.
McLaughlin got a bit of margin back on that last lap as well. He's pulled it down to 1.1. So he must have just had a bad lap.
Steve Hallam, if you don't mind, I'll just come in there quickly. Just watching Shane Van Gisbergen. He's a bit alone there at the moment by himself. Is he obviously had a lot of laps to run still on this one set of tyres? Is he just preserving at this stage? How's the car?
Yeah, I mean, a set of tyres has a given amount of energy, and you've got to, a bit like a fuel tank, drag it out till the end of the race in this case. So we're just cruising whilst we can, and then we'll be ready if anyone either presents an opportunity to us or we have to defend.
Thanks, mate.
Shane at the moment is in 7th. He's between Rick Kelly and James Moffat. Here we are on board with the Flying Kiwi. He's 26 seconds from the lead. He's out there pretty much in his own rhythm at the moment. Fabian Coulthard on screen, he's 11th. Will Davison 12th. James Courtney 13th. These guys are all shadowing each other at the moment.
Interesting to talk to James Courtney and Adrian Burgess earlier in the day. They are very focused on 2016 now in the Holden Racing team, finding a direction, finding speed from these cars. As you ride with Will Davison, one of the final few races he has with the Erebus Motorsport team. He will move from this Mercedes to the Holden Commodore at Techno Autosport. Shane Van Gisbergen heading to Red Bull next year, and will take over the reins there.
On current numbers at the moment, Rusty, Whincup is starting to range up on Winterbottom. Still a fair gap, but he's got pace at the moment, Jamie Whincup. And remember, towards the end of that first stint for Winterbottom, we observed the back of the car starting to slide around. I'm just wondering whether Frosty's got a little bit of a battle going out there at the moment as well. There's still 6 seconds between them, but that's a shrinking margin at the moment.
I think Davo may have struggled to pull that car up down at turn 4. You could hear it pinching the brakes, and now, in fact, Fabian Coulthard doing the same. And so Will Davison under siege here from James Courtney through Siberia. Let's get an update from the lane.
Here we go. Jeff Short out. We were looking at Scott Pye before. I looked at the screen and he disappeared from where I thought he should be. And we've missed what happened. He had a bit of a moment, though, out there at some stage, and because he's got some seriously good pace.
Yeah, he's going very, very quickly right now. He's really got the bit between his teeth. But, yeah, he got wide. One of the turns just kind of ran off, and it took him a while to get back on the track. That's what happened.
He's obviously really happy with the car. That's disappointing because he's still been making that fantastic progress.
Oh, man, he's going like the clappers. Very, very happy that way. It's just unfortunate he made a mistake, and here we are.
That's what happens.
Yeah. Thank you.
How's Jeff's Aussie slang going like the clappers? I like it.
Yeah, we'll convert him. We're working on him.
In fact, Scott has the fastest lap of the race, Crompo, a 32.87, which he did very early on. But good to see the 17 is coming alive, and he's closing on the back of this group here that are fighting. Fabian holds down 11th. Up ahead of James Courtney, who is in 13th, is Will Davison, and Pye is closing. The damage to Courtney's car as a result of that contact out of turn 2 on the first lap with Dale Wood and with, unfortunately, Lee Holdsworth. Holdsworth is out of this race.
Like the Lion had a tooth knocked out there.
Got his hands full there, Courtney, through right-hander on the run-up toward the hay shed. Fast corner.
Just watching these numbers for Whincup in his pursuit of Winterbottom. He's taken another second out of him. This is the margin between 3rd and 4th that I'm talking about. Last lap, Whincup was the second fastest on the track. The fastest was actually Lowndes. 1.4 seconds still static margin between Craig Lowndes and Scott McLaughlin. Coulthard 11. Will Davison, James Courtney, Scott Pye, all line astern.
One position, if he could grab that, maybe catch Winterbottom and potentially pass him. Would that, no, in the final analysis, how much would that help Craig Lowndes' title bid? So we'll keep an eye on Whincup. Good job by Tim Blanchard and Paul Dumbrell here. Oh, Dumbrell just runs off as we're talking about it. But the LD Motorsport drivers, both currently, Blanchard is 16th. Dumbrell's dropped some spots.
Barry, I was just about to come and speak to you about your two guys, Tim Blanchard and Paul Dumbrell. Started 24th and 25th, sitting in, I think it's 15th and 16th. Hey, Peter, he's done a fantastic job. Got thrown completely in the deep end this weekend. He's done a great job.
Oh, he's done an awesome job. I mean, you couldn't have possibly made it any harder for the bloke. We called him. He's driving across the bridge at San Remo eating McDonald's, we said we need you in the car in 20 minutes. So, yeah, it's been an uphill battle, but, you know, considering he's never sat in the car, doesn't know any of the guys here, and now he's out there racing pretty good. Like, he's done a good effort. Really has been well done.
Hopefully we can see Nick Percat back in the car at the Coateside Sydney 500.
Yeah, that'll be good to see. So we'll see how he goes. Good on you. Thank you.
Barry.
Really nice photo on social media prior to the race as well. The LD Motorsport team, a photo of Paul and his brother Lucas at the front of the car. First time that Paul Dumbrell has raced for his brother's team. There's Lucas there, so a very happy moment for the Dumbrell family. Very cool. Last minute change, obviously. It was Carl Reindler who was earmarked for that drive in the week leading in, but they've had some discussion, and ordinarily Paul is the driver for the Eagleston Motorsport team in the Dunlop Series, but he's come in here and subbed for Nick Percat.
Once again on the last lap, the fastest driver out there was Jamie Whincup. He's in fourth. This is Paul Dumbrell on screen. Repair Management Australia, Holden Commodore. Had a quick look in his left-hand mirror there to see who was knocking on the door. Tim Slade's the one that's filling his mirrors. 1.8 seconds gap Lowndes to McLaughlin. Whincup has got that margin to Mark Winterbottom down to 5 seconds now. And for lap after lap in recent laps has been unmistakably the fastest driver on the racetrack.
It's just gone sub 5 seconds. So yeah, 11 laps to go. So Whincup is making ground. Craig Lowndes leads the way by 1.8 over Scott McLaughlin.
34.1 for Lowndes, 34.2 for Scott McLaughlin. Waiting for Winterbottom to cross the line, 34.3. And then it'll be a 5 second odd margin, 33.7, Jamie Whincup. So how's the difference there? 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, and then a 33.7 for Whincup. So he's found stride in this tyre set and the right combination of bar settings, tyre pressures and whatever else. A little bit more direct sunlight out there now than there was right at the very start of the race as well.
Back aboard with Will Davison in 12th place, chasing Fabian Coulthard, who looks wild through turn one. Haven't had the pace from the Merc this weekend here, Will Davison. I think a pair of 17th places on the grid for both of yesterday's sprints.
That's his dad, Richard. He was a former very successful competitor in his own right. Good bloke. Absolute hardcore motor racing family, that one.
Has had a Formula 5000 car up until recently, which Alex has had the odd steer of and really enjoyed it.
Tried to get me to have a drive it, but no way. They're amazing things. Here we are, back on board with Will through the hay shed. He's just chewing away there at the back of Fabian Coulthard's Holden Commodore. And every time we take a shot of Fabian, either on board or looking at the back of it, I see him flapping. So that's an unhappy car, the Freightliner Racing entry at the moment. It's just sliding around a lot.
4.1 seconds now, Winterbottom to Whincup again. So if you look at Winterbottom's last lap, a 34.3. The last one for Whincup, a 33.7. So again, he takes good margin, good ground.
Jamie's been knocking out those numbers for lap after lap. He's a machine at the moment. Lowndes, McLaughlin, Winterbottom, Whincup, then the Kelly brothers 5th and 6th in favour of Todd, then Van Gisbergen, Moffat, Tander and Reynolds. That's your 10. And then these guys that we're looking at here at the moment. 1.8 seconds gap, Lowndes to McLaughlin. That's been a little seesaw battle, and every now and again I think, oh, he may have broken his spirit. That is Craig Lowndes with McLaughlin, and then all of a sudden it checks back up and it shrinks down to the low ones again. So McLaughlin keeping the pressure on. How's, again, Coulthard's car misbehaving through there, and in fact the front's probably contributing to that, so the flapping of the front wing will be hurting the stability of that car.
You sense that Davison is ready to make a move there if things keep going the way they are for Coulthard. He's driving the wheels off car 9, that Penrite E63 at the moment. So Whincup, there's the effective gap. Whincup to Winterbottom.
He's 14 seconds from his teammate Craig Lowndes, first to fourth, and he's 3.6 seconds behind Mark Winterbottom.
To go, 3.6 to go in front, mate.
great feeling when you're in the car and you're in phase and in stride. The car feels good. And they keep coming on the radio, and every time you hear the number, it's smaller. It's a real carrot. Dave Couchy's providing all that juicy information on the right-hand side of screen there. And so this is a battle for Jamie to get on the podium. On the current numbers that he's achieving, the last lap was a 33.8. The one before that was a 33.7. He's the only guy in the key runners at the moment that's knocking out 33s. There's the gap. So that's what it looks like. And that was Frosty in the foreground.
And if he can, it will help his teammates' title bid. We know that Whincup is out of the game mathematically, but if he moves one spot ahead of Mark Winterbottom, it could make all the difference in the final analysis.
As they stand at the moment, it's 188 point gap. Lowndes and Winterbottom. But if he stays where he is at present, David Reynolds can't win the championship after this weekend, more than 300 apart.
Ben Croak, Will Davison's been able to move forward 4 places so far in this race, but he certainly can't relax. He's got Fabian in front, and I think it's James Courtney behind.
Yeah, it's we've managed to move up a few spots there, but once you get caught up in a train, a few laps on the tyres, everyone ends up doing the same speed. It's pretty hard to get by guys then.
It's been a positive weekend though, particularly this race.
Yeah, it has. Yeah, we've improved since yesterday, which is always nice. It'd be nice to get into the back of the top 10 there, but still a few laps to go. We'll see how we go.
Thanks, Ben.
Adrian Burgess, this morning when we saw James Courtney in practice, the speed that that car had early on was absolutely fantastic. Weren't able to turn that into qualifying pace, and therefore, you know, finding the boys weren't where they needed to be again for qualifying.
No, look, we did a 31 flat in practice, and then 45 minutes later could only do a 31.6. So with the same car, so clearly we're a little bit disappointed with that. I don't think the tyre prep was the same in quality as it was in practice. So ended up qualifying in the middle, and then got caught up in that shunt down at turn 2. So I think James is struggling with a bit of a damaged car. And GT's done his normal great start, but yeah, we've reached that point where that's where our pace is, unfortunately. Too many red boxes, not enough green boxes.
Yes, it does look that way. Thanks, mate.
Whincup peeled another 0.4 of a second out of Winterbottom on that last lap. Still the only driver of the key runners in the 33s. In fact, scanning that column, he's the only driver, period, of the 25 who's in the 33s. He's got the gap down to 2.6 seconds now. And amazingly, it's almost like they're absolutely joined by a tow rope, but Lowndes and McLaughlin still stuck at 1.8 seconds between them.
6 to go, keep it up, 6 to go.
Tyres have hung in better than I thought. They seem to have reached a bit of a plateau now and have stayed there. The suggestion earlier in the weekend was that they taper away, but the tracks rub it up pretty well, so the track condition's good. Pulled up real wide on the approach to the top of the hill. Starts to throw a few rocks, but he's going to get away with it.
Remember in the 2014 MotoGP race here, they had to divide it into 2 effectively. They forced a pit stop for the guys, and I think there was a resurfacing in between, so maybe that resurfacing in between time, between the 2014 and 15 rounds, maybe we're seeing just what that's like in terms of impact on tyre life and things like that. It's down to 2.4 seconds now between Whincup and Winterbottom. 111, the Super Black Racing entry, is Chris Pither in this weekend. They're evaluating him for a 2016 drive. Ordinarily, it's Andre Heimgartner at the wheel of that car, and support for the Lomu family on the front. Obviously, the tragic passing of Jonah Lomu this week, the rugby legend.
Big lock up here on the replay for Jason Bright. Front left is getting punished here, so he's going to run out of black stuff in a tick. Hasn't been a great weekend. Friday just looked fantastic in their car in all conditions, and then all of a sudden when they started putting new tyres on the car, they couldn't translate it. Here's the replay of what happened to Paul Dumbrell. Pressure from Tim Slade, boulder wide up at the top of the hill, threw some stones and got back on again. He's down in 21st position. Now the gap, 1.9 seconds, Winterbottom to Whincup. So it continues to tighten up. Jamie is still in the 1 minute 33s. This has been a very impressive drive, and he's 13 seconds from the lead.
Not that you need any more character there, Bradley. You don't need any more character, but it has been one of those weekends for you guys.
No, it's been terrible. I mean, you know, we really missed it with the car this weekend and really struggled. And I mean, for Fabian to end up in P11, I felt that you know, it's good from where we started, but even he shot down the escape road and dropped 4 or 5 spots. So we probably were capable of running 6th or 7th, but we just haven't quite had the pace we normally have this weekend.
And then we had that situation after Dale did a nice job after you guys worked very hard to get rid of that vibration issue. He stuck it on 12th on the grid and then got caught up in that first corner. Was there feedback from him on what he thought happened there?
No, I haven't spoken to him. I couldn't hear on the radio. I listened to about 6 different channels when all that's going on. But, I mean, the vibration was terrible. We've chased it all weekend. We replaced everything but the driver, really, to try and fix it. And, you know, we replaced the engine and it seemed to sort the thing out. So it's really unfortunate for him. 12th, great qualifying position, but to get caught up in an exit at turn 2, unfortunate.
Tough weekend for BJR.
No worries, thanks.
1.1 seconds gap now, Winterbottom Whincup, as we go back to this great battle between Coulthard and Will Davison. 11 and 12 in the field. Winding down, 4 laps remaining. On current numbers, Jamie's going to grab him. It'll be a 9-point swing. It'll tighten the margin if it happens to 179 points.
It's little by little, isn't it? Lowndes has been able to gradually chip away at it.
And there's everything to play for if you're Craig Lowndes. And if you're Frosty, you can't play too much of an aggressive game. You just can't risk ending up in the paddock and dropping a bundle of points. He'll do everything he can with what he's got. But Whincup at the moment is superior to everybody in the field. He's still in the 33s. On the last lap, he still churned out a 1 minute 33.9. There's only been a 2/10 variance in the last half dozen laps.
Just over 3 laps to go. And Whincup has arrived. He's about to challenge our series leader and potentially help his teammate in the process in the title bid. Lowndes leading by 1.5 over McLaughlin, and this is the battle for 3rd. Right there now, down at MG Corner. Let's see if he can get a good run through these final turns and onto the front straight. That could be telling for the Red Bull racer. Mark Dutton to the left of your screen, team boss, engineer. David Couchy to the right.
Red Bull got a 1 and 2 and a 1 and 3 yesterday, so it's been a great weekend for them.
Ready to go, see you then. Ready to go.
Jason Gray, do your best. It's all you can do.
0.4, that's all it is.
Frosty's done a great job this year. He's been a masterful performer with the number of wins that he's converted, the way in which he's driven the race car intelligently, and he's well on track to his first and very important championship. So this is a very important play that's unfolding right here at the moment.
2.5 to go. What will he do?
.5 seconds, still the margin, Lowndes to McLaughlin. You tip your hat to Scott McLaughlin too. He has not blinked. He's just kept his head down. He talked about the behaviour and balance of that car. They've kept on trimming and playing with it.
Stereo, left of screen, Winterbottom, right, Whincup.
Last lap was the first time for ages that Whincup's been out of the 33s. He did a 34.1. And that's because with another car. It's been very impressive, hasn't it?
Frosty's resisting here.
And compare their current lap speed to their peak lap speed. There's only a difference of just a little over a second.
2 to go. Doing a great job.
Encouragement.
34.1 for Lowndes, 34.1 for McLaughlin, 34.2 for Winterbottom, 34.1 for Whincup. How's that for consistency? 4 different drivers, different crews, different engineering philosophies driving those organisations, and they still achieve a very similar outcome. So there's nothing in it in terms of measure now. It's officially 0.4 of a second. That was just a little bit of gravel down the inside there at the apex of turn 1. No big deal. The two of them are absolutely beyond the mat. 110% Frosty's not going to do anything dopey. And look at that, it's daylight behind. It's Todd and Rick Kelly next in the queue. Just chat amongst yourselves while they arrive.
Back to the battle. 1.5. Can Winterbottom keep him at bay? It's been a great job by Craig Lowndes at a venue that he has dominated at, and he's on course to chalk up another victory at this famous racetrack. He's had a great affinity with it over time. Frosty is handling this pressure well. They've been adversaries, these two. They've battled over the years. It's been a good rivalry between them.
15 podiums so far this year, Mark Winterbottom. Craig Lowndes also had 15. So here we go, 4.5 kilometres remaining.
Lap, mate. One more lap, you can do it.
So Lowndes has got a margin of 1.5 seconds. There it is. Jason Bright is out of sequence, and then there's a bit of air back to Dale Wood, who had that unscheduled stop because of the damage on the car, and here's the focused battle for third and fourth. Whincup giving it all. Winterbottom currently on target for a podium and trying to protect another 9 points in his cushion.
Mark Dutton mouthed the words, "Come on, mate." Let's see if he can do it. Lowndes comfortably in the lead. Whincup goes deep under brakes at 4. Close, but not close enough for a move at this stage. Frosty may just hold on to this third place. The title will go to Sydney. The title race is still very much alive. Lowndes will take a few more points away from Frosty's advantage.
Just watching Mark Winterbottom's hands there, steady at the wheel. He's driving that car very well. He's got a lot going on behind him at the moment. Meantime, here's Lowndes dealing with Lukey Heights. He's going to move his personal tally at Phillip Island on to 11, further cementing his legendary status at Phillip Island. Down the inside goes Whincup. He's made a touch on, then he's actually gone by. Is that a bump and run? So it's all happening on the left of screen. Lowndes is going to be the winner, but it's on for the third spot on the podium at the moment. Whincup's gone by. Don't argue about this one after the race.
Great job.
Tempers flared yesterday, and there's more tension today. Whincup will cross the line in third, but that will be disputed. Lowndes wins from McLaughlin, Whincup third, and Edwards is not happy about it.
This weekend, but you know we've picked up another race, so one more round to go.
Yeah, coming mate. Not lost big much to do. I don't go much for a bit in the last 10 months.
Well done, Mark Winterbottom, talking from a leadership perspective about just keeping a lid on it. Got more good points, or still keeping it alive, I should say, into Sydney. Lowndes doing virtually everything possible this weekend in his bid.
Let's look at that again. We were focused on the leader. It was all going on over the top of the hill. Jamie just had the dive bomb going down the inside. He's tagged the right rear corner. Got down the inside, bumped by him. Here it is again from the bumper bar perspective. So Whincup ended up having to drive outside the curb to be able to go down there. He had 2 on the grass. 2 seconds in the end, Lowndes over McLaughlin, as Lowndes is happy and oblivious to all of that that's gone on behind. So he grabs another fistful of points and continues to do what he's done best at Phillip Island for many years. I think the rear tyres might have seen better days on that car. Congratulations to Craig, to Scott McLaughlin, and there'll be some interesting words. Look at that. That might be a slightly used Dunlop tyre. Only driven on a Sunday. Please apply within.
He knows you're watching him on the onboard too. The top 3 there, so awesome performance by Craig Lowndes. Caruso out of gas potentially.
Nothing really that Frosty can do there. He drove down the inside, tried to do his best. Jamie was having a big crack. They're going motor racing. It's something that'll have to be decided when they start to look at the data and there's a discussion. They may leave it alone or they may correct the positions. But it looked to me like a bump and run.
like a go-kart race from their junior days, wasn't it? Look at this for Lowndes. That is shot. We're hearing no breach for Jamie Whincup. We'll verify that, but at the moment we're hearing no breach. So that would cement that third place. Red Bull 1 and 3, McLaughlin home in second place. But Frosty still leads the championship. What a move by Whincup. They are back, Red Bull. They were strong in the Pertec Enduro Cup.
And that may be because, and you'd need to study it in much greater detail than I've had a chance to so far, and they will have already done that in race control, but they may have felt the gap existed to begin with and then diminished after the move was made. So that might be part of what Jason Bargwan is considering. Look at the Lowndes looks like he's in a show parade. Yeah.
Unbelievable weekend. It'll go to the grand finale, but this has been an important weekend in the title race. When we look back on it, when we analyse the 2015 season, the WD-40 Phillip Island SuperSprint has been a pivotal round. Out of the game, but Whincup helps his teammate, and Lowndes does virtually everything perfect, everything possible in his quest for the title.
Craig Lowndes, the cars have been broken. Craig, how good were those burnouts, and how good was that race victory? Congratulations.
Yeah, look, thank you. I think it's all been a team effort. We started with our worst set of tyres, and of course we got a really terrible start. We just had to knuckle down and focus it and believe that the car was going to be fast enough. And as the race went on, it definitely was that. I think it's, I'm not sure what happened to Jamie, but for us as a team, it's fantastic to have a 1-3 again.
How critical was it getting by Scott McLaughlin as he came out of pit lane?
Oh, critical. I think as I come onto the main straight, the boys said, look out for Scotty coming out of pit exit. And of course, with that, I just had to make sure I got him into turn one, but didn't make sure I didn't bugger it up. And of course, with that, Scotty's been fast all weekend, so it's a credit to all his guys and GRM. But for everyone at Red Bull Racing, we're still fighting. There's still those team championship and drivers championship up for grabs.
It's 179 points, Craig. This thing is going to be decided at the Coatside Sydney 500. Good luck and congratulations.
Cheers, thank you very much.
Scott McLaughlin on the podium once again. It has been a sensational weekend for you here at the WD-40 Phillip Island Supersprint.
Yeah, it's been unbelievable. Congrats to Lowndesy. I drove my heart out, and that was all it was. But yeah, it's unfortunate. We just got held up a little bit there in the pits, and I reckon that was just enough for him to get past me. But cracker job by all of us at GRM and Wilson Security Pace. We've done an awesome job, and I think it's great to see that we've got some pace and consistent pace, and hopefully we can carry this on next year.
Absolutely. Enjoy the podium.
Thank you.
And over to Jamie Whincup. You had a bit of a different strategy to your teammate, and it all came down to that last lap. And there's been no breach, so you are third on the podium.
Yeah, not the preferred strategy. We're just trying to get out of Craig's way at the moment. So, 10 seconds back, and all I could see was the podium. So I went for the big lunge down the inside. I figured he's going to win the war, so I might as well try to win the battle, and good feeling.
It's been a sensational weekend for you here. It was a ripper weekend in New Zealand. You're certainly coming on strong at this part of the season. Bring on 2016 for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, round off. It's been good. Been good playing with the Penguins all weekend. So great to be on the podium. We'll refresh, regroup, recharge the batteries, and big Sydney coming up.
See you in Sydney.
Thank you. Cheers.
Hey, Mark Winterbottom, that was a tough race. You did everything in qualifying, put it on the front, you led, and just couldn't get it done at the end of the day. And then that last minute there, the last lap, a couple of corners to go, J-Dub came down the inside, bit of a touch.
Yeah, it wasn't quick enough. So it's good in quali, to get on that one lap. But in the race, it stabilises, and I was fourth quickest. So, Jamie had a crack. He, I moved across, he had a go. So it was a good move. So anyway, here's what it is. We finished fourth. We've just got to work on getting a bit of speed back, but we've still got a good lead. We're comfortable. I'm glad we've got a points gap because those boys are quite quick, so a bit of work to do.
I've got to pay that attitude, mate. That's a really good attitude to have. That's a championship-winning attitude, and you've just got to do what you can do. You drove a strong one. There was a race there at the finish. It's good to see that you're taking it in that way, but you do have such a really good lead. You're managing that really well at the moment.
Yeah, it's good. On your days, you've got to push, and on the days, you've got to conserve. So, it's good. We race. You had contact, but that's racing. I don't think pushing someone off the track's racing, but I'm cool with that move. I think it was all right. So, we'll just keep fighting on. We've got one more round to go. You blokes will leave us alone after one more round.
No, we won't.
Yeah, and we're going to Christmas. But, Yeah, thanks for the support. You know, there's lots of haters and whatever, but there's good people and they're giving me support, so we'll keep fighting.
Sydney's going to be huge. Good luck.
Cheers.
Hold your head high, Frosty. 4th, but very, very good points lead going into Sydney. It's on though. Craig Lowndes wins race 33, a record 11th win here at the Island, staggering. It's his 6th win of the 2015 season. For Scotty McLaughlin, 5th podium of the year, and he's had 3 in the last 4 races. And Jamie Whincup, 3rd, 6th straight podium of the season. So Red Bull are absolutely alive in the title race, and they are alive in the race for the Teams Championship as well. That is another one that will follow closely. Paul Dumbrell home 21st in that job he did, subbing for Nick Percat. Time for the podium. Here's Chad Nailon.
It's time for the race 33 podium here at the WD-40 Phillip Island Supersprint. In first place for Red Bull Racing Australia, Craig Lowndes. Second place for Wilson Security Racing GRM, Scott McLaughlin. And in third for Red Bull Racing Australia, Jamie Whincup. Representing the Castrol Edge winning team is John McGregor from Red Bull Racing Australia. With the third place trophy is Andrew Gibbs, National Sponsorship Manager for V8 Supercars. The second place trophy, Fergus Cameron, Managing Director of Phillip Island Grand Prix Circuit. With the Castrol Edge winning team trophy is Louisa Alexander, the brand manager for WD-40. And with our winner's trophy, it's Nick Roberts, the Sales and Marketing Director of our naming rights sponsor, WD-40. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2015 V8 Supercars WD-40 Phillip Island Supersprint Race 33 podium.
So let's take a look at the updated Drivers' Championship standings for you. It comes down to 179 points now, the gap, but 300 available in Sydney, so that means David Reynolds is out of the race, sadly. It's down to the two of them, Winterbottom versus Lowndes. They'll go head-to-head on the streets of Sydney Olympic Park. Here's the Teams Championship. Look at that, 71 now. The Pepsi Max crew had one hand on it, but Red Bull Racing are closing rapidly. Let's go to Greg Murphy.
Rick and Todd Kelly, 5th and 6th, boys. Well done. It was a good race between the two of you, but also the performance of the Ultima here this weekend's been pretty good.
Yeah, really wrapped with the pace. But I reckon I spent more time looking backwards than forwards in that race.
Well, looking at him?
Yeah, with Rick behind, and a few times I pushed on and took a bit more out of the tyres than what I would have liked, and got a bit of a gap. But that always results in Rick catching back up. So we did that a few times. But yeah, it was good fun.
Mate, focus on the older brother here. You got a bit closer. Come on, what have you got down the inside?
I was going to get him that whole time. And
you ran out of laps.
Nah, look, I couldn't have got close enough to get past, but we had a couple of big hits on the first lap, one at the hay shed, so I thought we were gone from that point on, damaged the right rear of the car a little bit, which sort of hurt us a bit, but settled in quite good, and TK in 5th there was really strong and a good place for us to finish. I know we're not going to win the championship, but certainly want to finish as high as we can, so that result certainly helps us both.
What made you think you were going to go on the outside of hay shed there, Chief?
I put trust in the wrong person who was on the inside, unfortunately, and that's why I got the hit. So
I tried that yesterday.
It didn't work. Yeah.
It didn't work. Go. Thanks, boys.
Thanks a lot.
James Moffat ensured 3 Nissans finished in the top 10. Highlights of race 33 of the season. Beautiful start by the pole sitter, Mark Winterbottom. Couldn't have been any better as he focuses on the title race. Jamie Whincup was able to get ahead of Craig Lowndes, though. Then this skirmish at turn 2. Unfortunately, Lee Holdsworth would take no further part in the race. And look at the battle scars for Dale Wood, and also too for James Courtney. Shane Van Gisbergen on the run down to turn 4. That was a wild ride. And Rick Kelly, it continued the wild ride for he and Cameron Waters. Look at this on the run to the hay shed. That's what damaged our hamburger cam. We wondered that before on Shane Van Gisbergen's car. Waters was able to rejoin, but the subsequent puncher meant that he had trouble pulling that car up at MG corner. Contact, Jason Bright, an unsafe release into Scott Pye. Fortunately, the 17 wasn't damaged. Bright would get a drive-through penalty. Pit stops, they needed to be perfect today. The key players all pulled up on the marks beautifully. Some interesting strategy plays. Jamie Whincup, one of the first to pit. It took him out of sequence, but out of the way of Craig Lowndes so he could concentrate on what he needed to do for the title race. McLaughlin, when he rejoined from the second stop, Lowndes had pitted just 1 lap prior. This was the crucial move. Red Bull Racing knew that Volvo were fast. Lowndes needed to get that done at turn 1. And try as he might, McLaughlin was not able to close the gap. Lowndes would go on and win it. A late off, a minor one, albeit for Paul Dumbrell, who was in the LD Motorsport Commodore for Nick Percat. He kept working away at it. They were nervous at Red Bull Racing, and right at the very end on the final lap, a go-kart style move. Whincup down the inside of Winterbottom. Winterbottom post-race said, "I'm cool with the move." They don't look happy about it at Pro Drive. Up front, victory went to Lowndes. It's a near perfect point scoring weekend for him in the title race. They've found good speed at Red Bull Racing, and it is on in the race for the Teams Championship, the race for the Drivers Championship. Between these two heavyweights of our sport, it will go to the Coates Hire Sydney 500 in a fortnight's time.